Hi, YouTubers. My name is Mercy. I am an immigrant to the United States and have been here now for 6 years. I came through a program known as the U.S. Visa Lottery Program. It was a program by Homeland Security trying to fill quotas for different countries' representation in the U.S. So they would play this lottery and give people the opportunity to move to the US so that they have enough representation of people from those countries. That way, there wasn't too much of visas given to one country and other countries would suffer for whatever reason, maybe. So when we went in to play the lottery, it was a ton of fun, forms to fill. We filled out the forms, submitted the forms, and took passport photographs, and we forgot all about it. It took a year and about 4 months, and then we heard back in the mail. And when we heard back in the mail, it was another bunch of forms. It was as big as a dictionary, the paperwork you had to fill. And so it told us basically that we had won the lottery, and as you can imagine, this lottery is played by millions of people in whatever country still qualify for it. The country I come from, which is Nigeria, it no longer qualifies for this visa lottery program. It was taken off the list in 2014. I think basically because Boko Haram started problems in that country, and it's no longer on the list for Homeland Security's visa lottery program. However, we're lucky to have won the lottery years back. I arrived in the state August of 2008, and I still remember the date because it was the 8th day of the 8th month in 2008. So it's a very unique date. I didn't plan it that way. It was a nearly 16 hours flight from my country. I'd never been to the US before. I'd been to a few other countries, and I used to do a business. I ran a business before I came to the US, so I did fly out to Asia and to the Middle East to source for materials that I used in that business. But after I won, in fact, the day when we got the mail for winning the lottery, I was not in my home country. Then I had traveled to Dubai, and my husband picked me up from the airport. He was grinning from one ear to the other, and he said, "You have mail." I'm like, "What mail?" Couldn't wait till I got to the house. And he said, "I think you should read it right now." So he gave the mail to me, the big, once I saw the cover and saw it was from the US consulate, I was excited and I opened it and we had won. But you have to understand that winning the visa lottery doesn't automatically mean you're going to go to the US. Winning the visa lottery meant that you qualified to go into the process that gets you the visa. So we started the process, and that process took another year to finish. It included medical exams in specific hospitals that had been vetted by the US consulate in Nigeria. It also included fingerprinting from every country that me or my husband had ever lived in. So I had to travel back to Asia. I had to travel back to the Middle East. I had to travel to West African countries that I'd been to and other places, and that cost money. But you had to do all that to get vetted that you had been a good citizen in that country that you lived in, and therefore you had no criminal records anywhere else. So we did all that, and then we had to do medicals, and the medicals took months. You had to go and come back a few months later to be sure that whatever virus they checked for like 3 months ago, you don't have it now 6 or 4 months later. So all of those tests, we stuck to it, we spent all that money, and we did it. And then when the papers came, we still had to go in to get visa interviews. And that was the crazy part, because people had spent all this money going to different countries they've lived in, and different places they've been and done all the process plus fingerprinting, and they would come to the visa lottery. And when they came to the visa interview, I think my friends are downstairs. When they came for the visa interview, there still stood the chances of losing everything, which was what we saw. So we're like 60 people scheduled for the interview that day. To make all of you 60 people, you and your family, sit in the waiting room. So we all saw each other. We all started talking about the process, where we'd been, what we'd done. And as we went through, you would see the first family go. We had 12 families before me and my husband and my son as a family, and none of them got the visa. Why? Because sometimes people lied, and sometimes the visa people just didn't feel comfortable giving the visa at that time. There was a family that the man had 5 children with him, and they went over to the interviewer for their visa lottery interview. And very quickly we realized from the questioning and everything that was going on that the man had actually added 2 extra kids that weren't biologically his children. It was his way of trying to, I think at the end of the conversation we found out it was his way of trying to help his brother out by taking his brother's kids and claiming they were his kids and adding those to his own kids and doing the paperwork process all through for all 5 kids together. But you see, the U.S. visa office does not just go into your history as you put it. They ask for pictures from way back. They ask for birth certificates. They ask for so much that you couldn't possibly pull off a lie like that one, because if the kids are not yours, it would be hard to retroactively go back and take pictures of you and them at birth, or you and them as babies and growing up. You won't have pictures or any evidence of that. Even if you could forge the papers, you couldn't exactly showcase that. And people did not anticipate what those questions would be. Like, the questions were different for every single person. I'll tell you that out of the 12 families before us, we were the first people that were given the visa out of the 60 families. And once we got ours, in fact, people were beginning to give up hope because nobody had gotten the visas up until we went forward. And up till today, we don't know if other people got it after us, because once we were done, we were ushered into an inner office, papers were stamped, and then were ushered out of the building. So we don't know who got the green card and we don't know who didn't. But those are the kind of circumstances and pressure that people go through to be able to make it to the US. The visa lottery program, I tell you, was a big blessing for a lot of people from different countries all over the world. I realized when I got to the US, though, that not many Americans knew that this program existed. And there were some who, just like the sentiment going around now, who just felt that they don't need to be doing a program like that. Maybe this YouTube channel will show what a blessing it's been. If I had lived in my home country, I would do good. I would still be able to have a reasonably good life, because I already was on a trajectory to doing that. But being able to come to the US and now being able, after 5 years, last year was when we became citizens, after 5 years of probation and seeing how you're behaving, do you file your taxes, are you working hard, do you deserve to become a citizen? We went in, we did a citizenship interview. That was another thing that totally got me when we went in for our US citizenship interview. When we came here, we got a place we lived, and we we worked hard, we did schooling and other things up until 5 years was passed. And by the time the fifth year was coming, we did get a letter telling us we'll soon be qualified to come do a citizenship interview. And we filled out the papers. We went and did fingerprinting again. We went in, answered a few questions. We got booklets to read for our citizenship test. And then we prepared for it because we'd heard a lot about U.S. citizenship test, and we didn't want to be bummed that we couldn't get citizenship because we didn't know the answer to who is our state senator or who was our local government. Who was our local government chair. So we read a lot and we got ready for the test, but we thought we'll go in, do the test, come home, wait a long time to see if we qualified to become American citizens. And we had our fingers crossed really tightly because who is not excited to become an American? Like, seriously. So we went in, did the test, and the test, I don't know if I should be saying this to the public because I don't know if the American Homeland Security allows people to tell others about it. But we went in, I thought I would sit down and they'll give me paper and pen or something like that to start writing out a test. I don't know if everybody is tested the way I was tested. I asked my husband how his went. It was slightly different from how mine went. But in my case, I went in, even before I sat down, he had started talking to me like, what state do you live in, and who was in the news recently from the state. And he was saying it in like a conversational way, not like I'm testing you way. And when he gave me a seat to sit in, I sat down and he asked me a few more questions. But it was all like he was just having a conversation with me, not like, I didn't even realize at that point up until the last 3 questions that I was taking the citizenship test, which was impressive because as we had the conversation back and forth and he asked me a few other questions and I responded honestly how I felt about the country, about policies or a few politicians and colors and history of the capital and other things like that that come up in the citizenship test. It was nice, and right after we were done, he asked me if I wanted to wait and do my citizenship swearing in the same day in about 2 hours. I was like, are you serious? He said yes. I told him, okay, I have to go and ask my husband. But guess what? My husband was made the same offer too. He had passed his citizenship test and was made the same offer. He didn't wait to come and ask me. The guy told the lady, yes, he was staying in the 2 hours to do his swearing in, even before talking to me. I still hold it against him. But I laugh about it because here I was saying, okay, I have to ask my husband if he really wants us to do it today. We thought it would be a big affair where we would invite all of our relatives from out of state and have them present to see us sing the national anthem, do the pledge for the very first time. But that wasn't the case. He said yes and then came out and told me I'm getting sworn in to be a U.S. citizen in the next 2 hours. I'm like, that made me the same offer, but I wanted to talk to you first. So we got it done the same day and it was really, really beautiful. I have pictures from that event. I didn't like how big I was at that time. I'd been eating a lot of burgers, but I will show you the pictures from the event. And I said the pledge, we got some paperwork and we handed in our green cards and collected our citizenship papers. It was a beautiful day, and one of these days I'm going to practice singing the U.S. anthem completely and beautifully. I'm not good at singing, but maybe by July 1st, July 3rd next year, I will try and sing you the national anthem in memory of my getting the citizenship, passing the citizenship test, and that would be, I hope, something you enjoy. Well, that is kind of a long history of how I got to be a US citizen. Now that I'm a US citizen, I want you to come on a journey with me as I try to explore America and see what all 50 states have to offer. I don't have a lot of time to do my travels because I have a full-time job, but my goal is to look around the US, see, make friends from different cities, and also review made in America product. So my channel is called See Homelands because I want to see the new homeland I have, and I'm hoping to rally other people who might get a new homeland somewhere else to talk about their homelands. They could call it See Homeland Australia, or See Homeland India, or See Homeland Dubai, wherever you may be. I hope this kind of is a small dream of mine that I'm hoping can become a phenomenon, if that makes sense. But welcome to See Homelands. Thank you.